What's good? It's your boy VA. That's AJ, and this is the HR podcast. Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all tuning in as always. And AJ, let's get right into this contender segment. It's a hot one today. Today we are talking about, yes, sir, ring that bell. Today we're gonna start it off with, the NBA hirings and firings has been going crazy bananas, as it always is every offseason. We swiping left or right on this one, AJ?
Swiping right all day, baby.
Yes, sir. It has been, I think it's been a little mellow compared to other years. The biggest one I could see off the rip is going to be the Suns firing of Coach Frank Vogel. Giving that man 1 year was criminal, I'm not going to lie. He really had a depleted roster when it came to role players, outside of KD, Booker, and Beal, who wasn't even there for most of the year. The chemistry never really gelled, and to place that blame on the coach was crazy to me. I understand you're going to please your star players and KD, who apparently didn't even have a working relationship with Frank for the last month, wasn't even talking to the man. I mean, it's bananas out here. The best thing I feel like the Suns could do was hire a new coach, get a new voice up in there, even though a lot of people didn't agree with it. But for the fact that the Stars just really was not in tune with him, he seemed like he had lost the locker room. Next time,
it was a big waste of time.
Right, big waste of time. And I mean, I feel like he got that job based on the Lakers bubble championship anyway, which I feel like there's more LeBron and AD than anything. So I'm not that surprised he got fired, but still 1 year is a little criminal. I mean, how you feeling about that one?
I mean, for me, VA, even in the past and all the way up to this point today, NBA coaches, I'm not really just sold on spending a lot of money and making sure it's the right one.
Right.
I feel like for certain teams, like it's not a big deal to have any coach in that chair as a head coach. It's nowadays more just to make certain players happy.
Right.
Because at this level, yes, you have to do some coaching, right? But for the most part, like your players are doing 70% of the work.
Facts.
In your system that you're laying out for them. Everybody knew that, Frank Vogel was kind of just a feel.
Yeah.
Because they were getting two new big players. They didn't have no kind of history with him at all.
Right.
So it was taking a gamble on having these big name players.
Right.
And him having experience with big name players in the past and having success with a championship.
Right.
And so I kind of feel bad for the man because it's like I feel like he had no problems as an actual coach, and that's what his job duties are. So that's what's rough about the situation. Did they get it right now with the new coach they just hired? I mean, I feel like it's just a replacement. Like they just had one chair and they're like, nah, I wouldn't like this chair. Let's use this one over here.
I think he is a better coach though overall. Like Bud Budenholzer, I mean, he did have that championship with Giannis. I like his defensive schemes.
I feel like that's literally the same position. He was with a superstar.
You're right,
and they won a championship.
You are right.
But
no, he only got one. But I think the defensive scheme, because Frank Vogel was supposed to be a defensive specialist, and he didn't prove to be that. And, I mean, again, it's based on the players, but the schemes he didn't really adjust. I mean, getting swept in the playoffs first round, it's just really hard to make an excuse for why that person should stay after. Like, that's really rough, bro. Especially for a team that was supposed to go to the finals. Like, they were like one of the top teams in the beginning of the year that had the best betting odds. So it's like.
And you know what? That leads me to the next one. They just got rid of Darvin Ham out there. They got swept right in the playoffs. Facts. And then Darvin Ham takes them from the playoff. Play-in. To the Western Conference Finals last year, which is almost to the final game. And then this year, they win one game in the playoffs. I mean, it was against the Nuggets still, whatever. But it's very similar type coachings, and then he's out now too. So it's
make adjustments in the playoffs.
Yeah, what's the point of hiring these coaches, right? If you
It's year-to-year contract. Like, why sign? I don't understand why they give coaches 4 or 5 year contract when you're gonna let them go in a year.
I don't get it
If you don't like the year, like you don't. Like I give credit to organizations that stick with coaches. I think the Mavericks is one that they stuck with Rick Carlisle for a long time through the highs and the lows. Another one is Spoelstra's
He
Miami.
got a big deal.
Right, got a huge deal recently.
That's just crazy though. Like, they didn't pay all this money, but I think it's more for the name and like people respect the person, so they're like, oh, we can't go wrong with this person until they literally aren't winning no longer, and they're like, all right, well, we try.
Right. Well, I mean, Spoelstra, he's been to the finals like at least 2-3 times last 5 years, so he's a great coach. But as far as Darvin Ham being fired, like. Again, it was a star player situation where it was like LeBron had lost faith in him, and so I mean it was hard. Like being in that coaching position, that's hard for anybody to deal with because one, this is the Lakers, it's high profile. Two, you got LeBron in there, LeBron and AD, so your expectations are always going to be through the roof. And then three, it's always a what have you done for me lately type league. Like what you did last year is irrelevant if you're not making it out of the first round. I think like the first round is the bar for everybody. If you can't make that, then it's a good chance you're gonna get fired, especially if you have big star players on your team. But in Darvin Ham's situation though, it truly to me was LeBron, because who expected them to beat the Nuggets, bro? Nobody. And I don't care what time. I mean, he did make some bad adjustments at times, but even as he was saying, Darvin Ham on his exit interview type thing, he was like starter. Well, I guess it would in this case be his starting guard wet the bed for the entire playoffs. What are you supposed to do? And I mean, and obviously he was talking about Austin Reeves, who did not have a great series, did not step up. D'Lo was so up and down, like normal. Like at the end of that series, I was like, D'Lo got to go, bro. Like he was sitting on the edge of the bench, like on his phone or whatever, like not a part of the huddle.
Oh, yeah.
It was just
it
was pretty bad. Like I was like, bro, you need to probably leave the stadium. Like this is
though, I don't think it's either one of those players' faults. I feel like they gave what they could. I mean, you can't expect too much of them. Mm-hmm. They're getting paid to, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, are they really? They're getting paid to produce, but are they actually? Are people actually expecting them to put up 20 every single night? Let's be real.
No.
I mean, they're both legitimate players, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of it had to deal with AD being a leader on the team and having to basically, he said something right in the middle of the playoffs, like he didn't want Darvin Ham there. He wasn't really knowing what he was doing, something along the lines of that. And it was like, oh, bro, like the Lakers were upset as an organization that he said that. Yeah. And so it was kind of like, you can't have your leader of the team not buying into the coach's system and expecting the rest of the team to be like, all right, guy. Sure, Fact. No, your team's not together. You're one of your main guys, if not quote unquote your main guy, isn't back in the system and the coach, and so that's where you have a lot of problems. But enough with that. It was just a lot of crazy hiring and firing, and a lot of it was like expected, It really was. Yeah. The only thing that was unexpected to me was the actual hires. It was like, okay, well, let's see if this works. Right. But we won't find out until next year. Right. Fact. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on the coaches though. It's a player-driven league.
Right. I feel the same way. Like KD's leadership is what got Frank fired as well. It's the stars. Before we go on to that one, though, just to kind of fade into the hiring, you think the Lakers might hire JJ Redick? What you thinking about that?
I really hope not.
Me too.
Because I have a lot of respect for JJ Redick. His mind for the game. He was a dookie.
Right. One of the best.
A sniper, one of the best shooters, right?
In college, at least.
Yeah, I mean, in the NBA too. I mean, he's not gonna go down. He's not gonna go down top 5.
Yeah, he wasn't no Steph.
Yeah, he's not gonna go down top 5. But I mean, still, he's probably a top 10 shooter in the league.
Yeah, you can make an argument for that.
And then when he got a little bit older, he became more of. He was always still a shooter, but he became more of a defensive player. Right. He was always moving around. I mean, without getting too much involved in him specifically.
3 and D. I just think for his first year that it's just not a good coaching.
It doesn't need to be with LA.
It just does not need to be. Orlando would be a good place, but they got a good coach. They don't need him. But I'm just thinking a place like that that's building, maybe on the verge of the playoffs.
If he wants to be a coach long term, like that's what he wants his career to be. He can't be in LA first job.
The Hawks would be a good job.
Because he's only going to get 2 years max there if he's not successful.
Right, facts.
And right now,
and there's too many,
future of LA is kind of.
There's too many good coaches in the league as it is anyway. Like too many good young coaches who have put in time as assistants. He needs to go be assistant somewhere.
True. Yeah, and he hadn't done that yet. I mean, he's been an analyst, but still.
Totally different. On to the next one. Your boy Joker Nikola Jokic done won his third MVP. Holla at your boy. Third in 4 years, might I add. I mean, he's up there with Wilt Chamberlain. Who else? Kareem, I think. Magic. Maybe Bird.
A select few.
It's a select few. Was it warranted or not? I don't know. A lot of people thought Shea probably should have got it. He was number one team in the West, averaging 30 a night for most of the league, for most of the year.
For a few years.
Right, but definitely this year though. Luka was a high candidate. Leading scorer. He won the scoring title this year. His team literally is maybe 2 or 3 games away from what Denver's record ended up being. So, I mean, it's kind of seems like it was a big bias towards Joker winning this year since he didn't win last year and he had great numbers. But either way, we swiping left or right on this one, AJ.
Nikola Jokic, man, he's the Joker. He's the real deal. I like everything about him. We swiping left. I mean, it was kind of mainly knowing that, he was expected to win it. I feel like a lot of people were pushing for it, even though these other candidates like Luka and Shea were up in there.
Right.
I would also went with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But at the end of the day, you can't hate that the Joker gets another one. But when you do put it in a perspective like you did, it's kind of eye-opening that he's with these elite players in such a short span.
Right.
So
seems very early.
I mean, shout out to him, but we swiping left, man.
Right. I mean, I think I would have had more of an argument for him getting it if I saw Kobe get 2 or 3, but it's just.
That's what's disappointing.
Right, it's very disappointing. There's a lot of players that should have got more. The fact that he's almost tied with LeBron this fast. LeBron has 4. It's just bruh. On to the next. So we got NBA.
Don't call it the MVP.
Right. We got NBA playoff updates. Currently, we looking at some tough semis going on in the NBA. We got the Knicks trying to close out the Pacers in 7 after another loss last night by the Knicks, who are banged up. Josh Hart got hurt again. We're looking at the Mavs trying to close out the Thunder in 6, now at home tonight. Crucial game. And then we got in the East, the 4 teams that are left are going to be, well, we just talked about one of them. The other one is going to be obviously Boston, who had already gone to the finals, who's already headed to the Eastern Conference Finals for their 3rd year in a row, which is an amazing feat. And then lastly, but not least, we got the defending champions, Nuggets, came back from 2-0, now up 3-2. Actually, now it's 3-3 after an amazing comeback win by 45 freaking points. Oh my gosh. It's just crazy series up and down. They're looking to have a tough game 7. We swiping left to right on this one, AJ.
Oh, we swiping right. I mean, you pretty summed it up in a nutshell. Pretty good job, VA. Ain't gonna lie. But at the end of the day, it's been unexpected on my end. I mean, to run through it like you did, the Celtics were gonna be there. I thought the Nuggets were gonna have it done by now. I'm not gonna lie, that would surprise me. And if they end up winning the series, it's gonna be an eye opener, man. A big eye opener, because they got some injuries too. Cat's coming off the injury.
Conley had a hamstring, Achilles actually, soreness. But you always got to watch that. You don't want them bleeding something else. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you got New York. They just on these sprees of hotness, I feel. And then they run with it. The momentum of the game switches for them so much. It's crazy to see. It's kind of fun. Who else has been there? Indiana.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big Indiana fan. I never have been.
No.
It's just like
When Reggie was there, I liked him, but that was forever ago.
Yeah. But yeah, and you got the Mavs. I mean, so everything's like it's turning out to be a good thing for the playoffs and for.
I think for the young up and coming,
it being elongated. Yeah, like it's not just quick and over. Like the seedings to me were, I guess, properly done because it wasn't just nobody had won one game with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting games to watch. They've been close for the most part, other than the 45 womp.
Right.
But still, they've all been enjoyable games. So, I mean, good all around. Nothing that's really stuck out to me, other than, I'm not gonna lie, Edwards. He's getting all this MJ comparison, and it's like, chill out a little bit.
It's a little early for that.
At the same time, it's fun, right? I feel like he's embracing it. He's coming out of his shell a little bit more. He's getting a little bit more spotlight, and it's cool to see because he's such a young player. Then you have other people like Brunson coming out of the spotlight too, knowing what he's been doing.
He's been
Josh
balling.
Hart as well.
That whole Villanova squad for New York has been huge for Tom Thibodeau. Yeah, bro, it just seems like this year is the new coming of the guard. I mean, this year is the change of the guard, the old guard. This is the first time I think in probably 10 years I haven't seen LeBron in the second round, haven't seen Steph, haven't seen KD. Those three, the big three for like the old, basically our age, is kind of starting to phase out.
And it feels good.
It does, because these young up and comers have been trying to get that breakthrough for a while now. I think Denver was the start of this change when they finally broke through and won, and they're looking like they're going to be dominant for years to come. And it's hard for me to pick somebody to beat them out of the West if it's not Minnesota. If Minnesota can't get it here, I mean, it's hard for me to see the Mavs beating them in 7. It's hard for me to see OKC beating them 7, even though OKC did beat them 3 out of 4 in the regular season. So it is possible, but the young, I mean, you see the immaturity right now and how they're playing against the Mavericks. It would be times 10 against the Nuggets in the playoffs. I just don't see them beating them. They're just not ready yet. Their role players are not stepping up like they should. And Luka and Kyrie in general have been off and still winning. They've still been winning. Kyrie actually has just not been scoring, but he's been facilitating. He's had a great plus minus when he's on the floor. So I'm not worried about him. I think in Game 6 he's going to come through. He's like, 12-0 or 12-1 in closeout games. Like, dude does not play. So I think they're going to definitely take that tonight and head to the Western Conference Finals. It's hard.
I hope they do.
It's hard for me to call the Nuggets in Minnesota because it's just been so freaking up and down. But the fact that Game 7 is in Denver, and it's, again, the defending champs who have been there, who have championship pedigree, I think they're going to close Minnesota out. Ant-Man has been amazing, but Karl Anthony Towns has been too up and down. Rudy Gobert has not been stopping nobody. He should have been the one we should have been talking about for getting a freaking award. Bruh. Freaking fourth defensive player of the year. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? The biggest thing I heard about him was like, how you defensive player of the year, but in the playoffs you become a liability. I don't understand that one right there. But again, I don't really like these awards, how they do it anyway. It's a lot of bias. That's the East. To me, it's championship or bust for Boston, bro. Unless they don't have Porzingis back healthy for the finals, I can understand them losing.
Supposedly he's supposed to be.
He's supposed to be.
I agree.
But if he's not, I can give you a little bit of excuse. But other than that, bro, like, they've been here too many times. They should be big. They definitely gonna be whoever comes out of the East. Like, the Knicks are banged up. The Pacers is just young. You don't know what they're gonna do. Halliburton looked like a star one night. He looked like a regular role player the next. So. Yeah, I don't have much stock in either one of them teams right now because of those reasons I gave you. Like, if the Knicks were at full strength, I would definitely have them beating Boston just because of the momentum, how they've been playing. But they're going to be burnt out before they even get there, if they even get there. Like, they're getting ran into the ground, bro. Josh Hart was over here holding his ribs for half the game last night. Like, dude's beat up. They some warriors, though. Kudos to them, bro.
Well, I mean, he's been playing like unprecedented
bro. Like, the most since January.
He's hustling, like, he's moving out there like nonstop. So,
right.
I I mean,
he gonna be like Derrick Rose
right.
in another year, bro. They gotta chill out. Like, I'm still mad at Tom for what he did. I'm still mad at Tim for what he did to Derrick Rose, bro. Like, get that man out the game. Either way, it's like you said, it's been a great playoffs. Like, this has been a really good year for playoffs in general for the new young age. I'm excited for the future now.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, on to the next one. We got NBA officiating. Has it officially become a problem? The 2-minute rule has cut to the point where it's like a farce. Like, you're telling me lies to my face. You're pissing on me, telling me it's raining because it doesn't change any outcome. It's some of these fouls in the playoffs have actually caused games to be lost. Going back to the first round, Philadelphia lost games because of this. In the regular season, the Knicks lost games because of this. These phantom fouls. Like, I do like the fact though that they have gotten more lenient in the playoffs. They're letting them play more. It's more physical, but it's still up and down with the calls. It's a lot of biased calls out there. We swiping left or right on this, AJ.
I agree with everything you said. We're swiping left, but I'm gonna say one thing because it's important. We probably should revisit this one, but we're not. Anyway, we're swiping left, but the main thing that I would want to point out at this is, like you said, it's deciding games, and the most aggravating thing about it is when they do mess up something that's so important, they come out with an excuse later and said, oh yeah, we should have done this, but you didn't. And it's not like you can go back and say, you know what, you guys win, you guys lost.
Right.
And it's kind of like, well, we all just saw what happened. You guys just kind of like lied through it. So it's like,
facts.
Why didn't you make that determination, at the time?
Right.
Like, if you're not so sure, right, if those three or the people that are in the playoff review booth sitting in New York or wherever they are can't get it, right, they need to have like a time span or something where they're like, okay, 5 people are on a committee, you give me your call, and I don't know. I really don't think it should be that complicated, but they need to figure out something to make it more smooth and more consistent.
Right. It's a lot of stoppage. It's a lot of reviewing.
Bruh.
I mean, it's messed up the flow of the game.
Takes away from the momentum of the game.
Yes, most definitely.
We swiping left,
right.
bro.
Bet. On to the next one. We got Jared Goff's $212 million deal. Your boy got paid. Ching.
Yeah.
Kudos to him for that.
Yeah.
Maybe not the highest paid quarterback, but definitely a lot of money. Got, I think, 116 guarantees. A little less than Kirk, but for a quarterback in Detroit, that's huge. For someone who was basically cast out by LA and has reemerged himself as a top NFL quarterback in the NFC. Kudos to him again. But I mean, quarterbacks getting paid, it's like a dime a dozen. Like, it's not really big news to me anymore. He didn't really break the market, but again, good for him. Swiping left or right on this, AJ.
I mean, we swiping left, but it does set a precedent for quarterbacks like in the range of your Dax,
right,
your other players, and it's like, well, this dude just got signed. It's Detroit. They were on the down, right, but now they're on the up. Right. They just came up significantly.
Yeah. Facts.
But it's gonna set the precedent. We're swiping left. I mean, congrats to that kid, but he's got some high expectations and shoes to fill.
Don't he? They got expectations now in Detroit, and nobody's gonna be ducking. Nobody's gonna be looking at that like, oh, that's a win. Like, they're gonna be ready for Detroit now, and we got to see what that coach really made of. And I do like him, though. I do like him, but we got to see.
Yeah, he's good people.
Yeah. All right, on to the last segment for Contender. It's gonna be your boy Jamal Murray. He came through. It's been an up and down playoffs for him, I would say. But the antics have been way out of character for him. Throwing hot pockets onto the floor, trying to slip people. I mean, bro, if you was hungry.
Is that what it was?
Nah, it looked like a big ass hot pocket. Like, if you was hungry, bro, take your butt to the locker room, finish that. Like, you ain't gotta throw it on the floor because you mad at the officiating, man. Come on now. But could have got somebody hurt, legit. Yeah, before I go further, we swiping left or right on this one.
No, we're swiping right. I'm glad we went there because You're right. He is a little bit out of character. I feel like he's like a funny, weird guy that I can't get a good read on.
Right, I think it's the Canadian
I'm usually
thing,
pretty
bro.
good at it.
It's just,
or at least what I think a player is all about, right? But I can't get a good reading on him. He just has
a little
this,
different,
like, awkwardness.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, we swiping right. I'm gonna let you take it off.
All right. I think, like you said, he's a different type of player. To me, he's kind of in that Jimmy Butler range where it's like he comes through in the biggest moments. Regular season, he's okay. He's never going to get that, all-team NBA status as a regular season player. I don't even think he's making second team, honestly. He just comes up in the biggest moments. The game winners he hit against LA were heartbreaking, bro. 2 of them in the first round, bro. It's just like, what in the heck? And he was hurting. The last one he made, he was fighting the team staff, medical staff to play.
A little over 10 points or something.
Like, it didn't came through in the fourth quarter like it's nothing, bro. But I feel like this series, he came into it hampered. It was affecting his shot, as you can see. The defense was affecting him. It's a way better defense than it was for LA. So he's seeing a lot better, a lot longer length players. Jay McDaniels is great out there. Ant-Man playing great D. So making it difficult for him. So frustration starts to settle in, and then you start taking it out on the officiating, which obviously we know hasn't been great. But for him to only get a $100K fine for that, man, like I almost feel like he should have been suspended for a game. I don't want to call for people's suspension.
Maybe decided.
It could have. No, I don't want to call for suspensions normally, especially in the playoffs, like the Draymond thing, bro. But that was dangerous, bro. And it wasn't just that. If it was just that, I'd been like, all right, he didn't really mean that. He threw a towel onto the floor too. It just didn't make it as far because it wasn't as heavy. But bro, are you a fan in the stands or are you a player on the court? Like, why are you throwing things onto the court, having hissy fits, bro? Like, it was really troubling and confusing to see that, and then it was even more troubling to see the NBA commissioner just kind of like cape for him. Like, how you giving him $100K for that, but you giving Rudy Gobert $100K for doing the money sign? Like, make it make sense to me, bro.
Not equivalent.
It's not at all.
I mean, you pretty summed it up good. I had 2 things I want to add to that. You're right, because if he would have been on the floor and someone would have thrown something on him, he probably would have been on his press conference after talking about, oh yeah, it's dangerous, this and that and the other, right? So it's like, it's a double-edged sword when it comes to that. Because I could see him opening up and being vocal about it, hurting his MVP, and now they don't have a chance, and they could have been catastrophic for them, right? Especially because it's under the basket. Most of your high flyer Aaron Gordon is under the basket. I think at the time, Joker
he threw it right next
there.
to Cat's feet is when it happened too.
Yeah, he's already injury play.
Right.
Another thing that I want to bring up too is that you said that is he a fan, right? Because fans throw stuff on the court. But if a fan throws something on the court, what happens to them? They get thrown out the game, man. No refund. Right. They might get a lifetime ban. And it's like, hey, man, you only this little measly fine. I mean, it was a good chunk of change, but at the same time, it's like, you would be throwing other people out. You're right. I never want to throw out a warranted suspension for anybody either. I mean, I'm just me, right? But I think it is necessary, and it could have changed the outcome of the series. And I don't think it would have, but it could have, right? It was a pivotal moment, and they had just came off their win. LA had just came off their win, and then they would have got that one. It would have been in Denver, right? They did it he threw it on the floor in Denver. Yeah. I can't remember exactly.
No, you're right. It was in Denver because the first 2 games was in Denver.
Yeah, and on top of that, of LA's sloppy play, potentially they should have won multiple games. Some close ones they just gave away in the fourth quarter. Right. So some things could have changed, and that would have been a big detriment.
Big swing, bro. And I think the Nuggets play way different without Murray, because they have no one to defer to, especially because whenever the Joker's getting, dishing it to Murray, and he's making shots, it makes it easier for the Joker to do what he does in the paint because they have to account for Murray. So now him not possibly being there would have been huge. And then I think most importantly, there was a chance to really set precedent on this type of behavior by the commissioner Adam Silver that he did not take that chance and do. Now the precedent set is if I throw something on the court as a player, I'm gonna expect a fine. I'm not gonna get suspended. I'm gonna be okay. I'm just gonna have to pay some money. Versus you throw anything on the court, especially at a player, automatic suspension. Like that should have been the precedent
during the playoffs,
right, bro?
too.
Like during the playoffs, like it's huge. It's not a regular season where he would have had time to get healthy again after getting possibly
sit
injured.
time out.
Like, bruh, like you could have injured somebody and they'd be out for the playoffs and change the whole series. So he failed at that. Now, where I will say what he probably leaned on was the fact that Jamal Murray does not have a history of this type of stuff. I think if this was someone like
he's not a Draymond.
Right, if this was someone like Draymond Green, if this was someone like who's that clown that just got who was talking to that reporter about subscribing to his podcast in Milwaukee. Did you hear about that?
I can't.
The little instigator. Golly, I don't know what.
Oh, Pat Bev.
Yes, if this was a Pat Bev, bro, automatic suspension, I feel like. So I think they took into account that this is Jamal Murray. But that interview was crazy. Like I watched it. Do you subscribe to my podcast? Okay, you can't interview me then. You can't interview me. Excuse me. Can you leave, please? Like wilding out, bro. Then he threw the basketball at the girl in the crowd, hit her in the head. I'm just like, bruh, we got sidetracked on that. But either way, you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, bro. Like, it should have been done better, but I understand a little bit why he did it the way he did, as far as Adam Silver giving him that fine versus a suspension.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that's the end of Contender segment, AJ.
Ding, 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 ding.
And on to your next segment, Functioning Org. Let's get it. And we are back after some technical difficulties, but I'm not even mad at it because right now it's been an amazing playoff series that just ended. We just finished the finale of the Mavs OKC round 2 semifinals of the NBA playoffs for the Western Conference. An amazing game. I'm still hype. I'm trying to catch my breath. I was over here jumping around like a madman. One of the most hype I've ever been for a playoff game in recent memory, but
we get it. It's nice when your team gets there.
Right. I know you feeling the woes with LA being out, but man, it feels good to be back. This is the second Western Conference Finals trip for Luka Doncic, and that's only the 6th in Mavericks history. So it shows you he's already put his footprint on this not only this team, not only this franchise, but on the whole Western Conference. He is making a statement. This is a totally different team from when we went 2 years ago when we had Jalen Brunson as the number 2 scorer on the team. Only people there, I think, is still Josh Green and Hardaway. Everyone else is basically new, and they have come together. And shout out to the GM, man. Like those additions were key in this series. The Mavs getting past OKC without PJ Washington and without Gafford and without that amazing center, rookie center Lively, who stepped up and not to basically put, Kyrie and Luka did their thing, but like I'm talking about role players. Last but not least, Darren Jones Jr. Was amazing. Amazing tonight. I think he had 22 points, man. Was really ready for this moment. Really happy for him. He was a journeyman who came through this whole series, this whole playoffs, this whole season. And I can't wait till they sign him to that extension. Next round, it's going to either be Minnesota or the Nuggets. I don't know how it's going to go. I'd rather see Minnesota, not going to lie.
I think it's going to be.
I'm hoping. I would really like this. I think it'd be a really nice series. I'm really tired of seeing Nuggets win already. I really do not like that coach, Mike Malone. I think he's just a little too cocky for one championship under your belt, bro. But it is what it is. The chips will fall where they are supposed to fall. Anything you want to say about that, AJ?
Yeah, they got 2 championships.
Who?
Denver.
They only got 1. I'm not talking about franchise history. I'm talking about with the Joker. They got 1. Yeah, that one last year. The first one.
I didn't watch the game, the Mavs game, but I caught the end of it. It felt good for them to get it too. Shout out to Kyrie too, because he's been there. And that, I'm not gonna lie, I had him being fickle for years. I thought he was gonna be fickle there, but we'll see what they
really
do
turned around
when it happens to be the Western Conference Finals.
Right. For sure. Now we're gonna get right back to where we was at before we had those issues. And that was the Functioning Org by your boy AJ. Go ahead and kick that off.
Yes, sir. As you already know, jumping straight into it. VA, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the world number one PGA Tour Scottie Scheffler?
I didn't even know he was number one.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna even lie. Like, I know who he was, but I didn't know his game like that. And so first thing that comes to mind is like the little Scooby-Doo villain that be trying to drive off.
Got him!
And it's like, not so fast, buddy. Take the mask off. It was Mr. Wilson the whole time. That's how I felt. Like bro was in imposter mode. Like, bro, do you know what you're doing? Like, where you're at? I know you're like the number one in the world, but like, chill out, bro. Like, someone just died. Like, get you. Like, police are on high alert when that happens. Off the rip, a fatality, and you over here agitating the police trying to do their job. Like, I know you got a tea time at 9:00, whatever. You got to get ready for it, but like, we got to move a little bit of care. And his statement that he put out, like, I accept that. It was no malice in it. He apologized. It was very professional, and so we can move on. Like, I'm not gonna hold anything past him for that. But yeah, bro, like, come on, what was you doing? Like,
I'm not gonna lie, VA. I'm gonna give you my thoughts, and I want to say that the first thing that comes to mind, because he graduated from UT, or I don't know if he graduated, but he played at UT golf program, is the eyes of the nation are upon you. Because everybody was looking at that dude, man.
bruh,
It's a crazy story.
you ain't know his name, you know now.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you outside of the golf world, everyone knows his name now. And
Facts.
believe it or not, the first thing that caught my attention on the news outlets anyway was people were already quick with making these shirts with his mugshot on them, showing up there, ready to drink their day away, see any chance they could be around him just to get a glimpse of what was going on, feel like they were part of whatever was happening with the fatality, like they were on the episode of Law and Order or something. And people just gotta chill, man. They don't gotta be a part of everything. Like, they're already there to watch the game of golf. He had so much pressure on him, and he played well today. Actually, he played well. I think he's in the running. He's not first or second, but he comes around the last 2 days anyway, and he has a chance of winning. Another thing that I want to throw out there is, had it been somebody else, would they had the opportunity to play? It just so happened that he didn't miss his tee time.
Not at all. It was like nothing happened. It was in and out.
After reading into it a little bit more, it sounds like a lot of the things are going to get just dismissed or dropped.
There's no body cam
footage. And I mean, it's not that you need it necessarily, right? But at the end of the day, the way that he went about it, he was professional about it. There was a misunderstanding, quote unquote, with him and the officers that were involved. It was like, okay, my bad. I didn't know you were Scottie Scheffler until it's too late. We arrested you.
Right.
It's a wrap.
Facts.
If it was somebody else, though, it would have been a big deal. Like a bigger deal than it already is, I feel, even though he being world number one. But yeah, the eyes are on him.
Facts.
Moving right along, VA. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear Big Glen Baby Davis?
I feel like a lot of things all at once just come at me. And I'm just like, which one's the best one to describe them?
I got mine.
Man, one word to describe him.
Or phrase.
It's like, I'm trying to think where I get this phrase from, but this is what literally comes to mind. It's like the phrase where it's like, you big dodo brain, like, oh, dodo brain, whatever the phrase is, where it's like you one of the dumbest species of that species, or the dumbest, ethnicity within that species. That's you. Like, you have space in your head that should occupy a brain, but it's just space because the things you are doing don't add up. Now, I mean, he was playing it off like 4 years wasn't nothing, but bruh.
Or even longer than that, shoot.
Right. I mean, he might get out in 2 with good behavior. He was like, I'm gonna get swole, but I'm gonna get swole. He's like, this is the only thing that can keep me from hamburgers, is what he said. It's like, bro, this ain't a joke.
Yeah, you
like,
going
I
to
know you heard
time, man.
you going to jail, bro, off some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
And he was already, he was already making money. I mean, it wasn't like let's take a step back. There's multiple people, right? For those that aren't aware,
Right.
going to jail for this scandal, fraud, basically, and I don't want to call it insurance, but let's call it insurance for the NBA. Multiple people going to jail. First thing that comes to mind to me, obviously, is don't drop the soap, big homie. It is what it is. Big baby, he was always a hustler, right, on the court.
Right.
Like, he was a fun player to watch, but he's also one of those players that was like, you loved him or you hated him.
right.
Usually,
Didn't he play LSU
I can't remember. I don't think so.
in college?
I know he played in Boston. I know he played in all the teams that I really, didn't gel
Right.
with the Lakers. So it was like, I'm always
Right.
against you. Played against him with the Clippers, and so it was just like, nah, bro, I'm not a fan. But yeah, to get 2 years on some fraud stuff.
Well, he got 4 years though.
Yeah.
Like, almost 4 years, like 3 years, 10 months, or like 8 months or something.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 40 months or 44 months, something like that.
Right.
But I mean, let's be real. He probably not going to serve all of it. It might be a nice little cushy place, and it might not. But there's a lot of people going for it. He's just kind of one of the bigger names that got attached to it, or not attached to it. He was involved in it.
And seeing a lot of jail time because of it too. Because I ain't even seen nothing from what happened to Brent Favre. Like, all that money he got,
Yeah.
that he stole basically, and nothing, bro. No jail time, no arrest warrants. It's like, I mean,
All
Glen
the
Davis
guys
should know
that
better
were
than that.
involved in this particular case, though, I would say he's one of the more high-profile names in it. So if you compare, Glen Baby Davis, Big Baby, to Brett Favre, like, come on, that's apples and oranges, But anyway, don't drop the soap on me. Moving right along, the last part of Functioning RVA, the first thing that comes to your thought process when you hear Austin Rivers.
I'm gonna have to say, go home, Roger. I'm gonna say that again in case I peeked on that. Go home, Roger. Get up out of here. Nobody wants to hear none of that stuff. You and what 30 players is about to play in the NFL? Like, let's get real, bro. Like, I'm all with guys being athletic, but like, for people that really play football, they know you get hit. This is not basketball. You will get hit. They will take your legs out. You can get concussions. Like, he been better off saying like 1 or 2 5 max players are the best athletes I've ever seen. Like, even Kendrick Perkins had some great points when he did his top 5. He said Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards. I think maybe not Lou Dort. I'm not sure, but those for sure. And those were super athletic guys who have good size.
Yeah.
6'4" and up.
Respectable.
Like that's not. And some of them actually played. And like I know Anthony Edwards played.
I'm sure all of them played
At some point in time, LeBron played. I know Allen Iverson was a great football player. Even at his size, he was really good. He played in college too. Like, so it's like there are people that can do that for 100%. But saying 30 players right now, that's, I mean, bruh, like you're just asking for people to just on you.
Yeah.
Excuse my French.
It's gonna get bleeped.
Yeah, it will.
No, man, but you're right. The first thing that comes to mind is a Dookie great. He's a Dookie great. I'm not gonna lie. When he first came in the league and was coming out of Duke, he was holding it down for the light skins. He had a good
Dookie great though, bro. Like, come on, man.
He had a game winner against
He
Carolina.
went there.
Man. That's That's a big deal. Let's be real.
He didn't do nothing in the tournament.
I want to say they
bro.
won that year. I'm not. Don't correct me. Right?
No,
I'm not fact checking, but I think
the year they won. The year they won was Kyrie when he was hurt.
I'm pretty sure he got him there. If they didn't win, they went to the ship.
Nah, bro.
Anyway,
no.
Long story short,
we gotta look that up.
I gotta say some things that's gonna back him and that's not gonna back him. But he just got into his analyst position not too long ago,
right.
And I feel like he's trying to build a name for himself outside of NBA playing basketball because he's not gonna be a coach. He's not his dad, right?
No.
But I will say that it's a slippery slope when you start being an analyst, especially for a large sportscast place like ESPN, because all eyes are on you. So you're building credibility quick, and I will agree with him. Like, I think basketball is the sport with the most athleticism involved in it.
Right.
However, like when a basketball player plays basketball against a football player, like you're like, bro, chill. Like, this is basketball,
Right. Trying to tackle me.
Yeah, it's like, chill out, man. There's a smoothness to the game you have to have, and most football players don't have it. I mean, there are some that do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away from it, but I will say that overall athleticism, basketball is it. Now, what I think he didn't think about, he did think about, that most of these basketball players, they used to play football too, right? But he didn't think about, like, just going straight into the NFL right now. Like, their bodies are not ready for that, right? So there's a huge difference of keeping size, health.
NFL, you're going against the best at across the country, bro, across the whole nation. Like, people have to, like, that's just like saying somebody in NFL can just walk onto the basketball court in the NBA and score 20 points.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, there's a reason why it's limited spots, bro.
Yeah.
People that work at this every day still can't get into this. You gotta put some respect on the name
and the sport.
Yes, both ways.
Yeah, both ways.
And it's just like, bro, just stay in your lane. Like, I would have rather have heard that from somebody like Shaq than from him, bro. Somebody that actually was a physical beast.
Yeah.
Like,
fair.
Versus someone who, he was just a shooter. He was a role player. He never was the best player on his team once he made into the NBA.
Yeah,
so it was no longer ever again. So I just think you have to know your role and shut your mouth.
Yeah. He spoke too
Take
quick.
it from Stone Cold Steve Austin,
but in
bro.
all fairness, we're picking this example, right, of a newer upcoming person that's being an analyst or a commentator, because there's a lot of them out there right now that I really can't stand.
Right.
But we're not gonna get into all that. But yeah, shout out to the Dookies. But that's pretty much sums up Function or BA. We'll go ahead and let you kick it off with the last segment of the show.
Bet. So the new segment that we have rolled out is the Got Beef segment. And this episode's contributors, I should say, are going to be your boy Big Diesel, Superman on the chest, Shaq,
Diesel, the
and Shannon Sharp, the sharpest Club Shay Shay, Cavassier drinking uncle you could find on the block. It was definitely a surprise beef. I know beef has just been in the air. We talked about it last time. It's just the aroma, man. Something about it. Something about seeing the two best MCs in the world going head to head that makes everybody just want to start fighting. I don't know what it is, but Shaq did not appreciate your boy Shannon getting on his Club Shay Shay podcast. I think it was on Nightcap when he first brought it up with Chad Ochocinco. I'm gonna watch it after this. And he brought up the fact that Shaq was a great player nonetheless, but did not maximize his talents because of his own admission of not being one of those athletes who had great work ethic, who had great preparation, meals, much like his former teammate Kobe Bryant had. Had all that stuff. And someone who definitely maximized that potential. And so to me, that's like an honest thing to say. Like, you could have been better, and you admitted it before, but I guess Shaq ain't like that. He went on Instagram and was like, yo, don't speak on my name. You don't know me like that, son. He kind of went gangster on him. He was like, I know what you did to get in that position you in right now. We're going to keep this PG, but yeah, keep my name out your mouth, kid. You can never be me. I'm the most dominant ever. Oh, I think where it really came from, where it really stemmed from is that Shannon did not appreciate, I guess he kind of called it hating whenever TNT Crew congratulated Joker on his third MVP in 4 years. And Shaq had first said, I'm a fan of you, Joker, but I would have voted for Shay for MVP. He's my MVP to me. He should have got it this year. And Shannon kind of called that hate. And Shannon kind of pointed out, I think this was what he got him, that he was like, you could have had more MVPs. You should have had 3 or 4 or 5 MVPs. You should have been in the GOAT conversation, given your skill, given what you were given, your height, your size. But you didn't maximize that. And Shaq ain't like that. And so they were kind of back and forth, and Shaq actually put out a diss record. Like, his little old self is on there going in on him, and it's not half bad. But Shannon took the high road on this one. He told him, I can never be you, Shaq. I never said I could be you. Yeah. Even if I'm not the equivalent to you in my sport, none of that. I'm not top 10 in my sport like you, but I can congratulate people, give them their props, and not have any animosity because I maximize my potential. Everything I gave on that floor, I worked my tail off for, and I made sure I gave my all every time. I was prepared. I ate right. I slept this, like I lived it to its full potential, and I have no regrets. And so I like his way of going at that. What you think about that, AJ?
I have a few things to say. One thing first, Shaquille O'Neal is by far the most dominant big man that I've seen in the game.
Same.
I also know
by
from
far.
loving watching the TNT Crew for NBA, the Big Four. I love that show, man. Like, it's part of the game to me. Like, I don't get up and go and do something. Like, I watch that, and Shaq's a big reason for that. Shaq was also one of my favorite players growing up as a kid. But one thing that I learned about Shaq is that he doesn't go and talk about stuff really that he doesn't know. Like, if he's gonna talk basketball, he talks basketball, right? He doesn't go and try and talk football. He doesn't go and try and talk tennis. He talks basketball. And so I respect him for that.
Right.
So technically, in my mind, Mr. Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp, kind of called him out about it, right? But that's his job. Like, he's an analyst,
Right.
And so I guess Shaq took offense to it because it was basketball and he had that G14 classification that he always refers to. And so I agree, like Shannon Sharp, if you're going to talk about basketball and on my name about it, come from a better place. Like, the way I say that is because it's apples and oranges, right? He did self-admit that he didn't give it his full entire potential like he could to. It was a God-given talent. But when you compare like Kobe Bryant, per se, to Shaquille O'Neal's preparation and determination and hard work ethic, like you're talking about probably, if not the best that we've ever witnessed, then like right underneath that with Kobe Bryant. So that's not fair to use those
them.
two, right? Also, I would say to sum it up, Shannon Sharp is good at what he does, but I would say that as of more recently, he's more, I guess, become more popular of what his shows are, who his guests are, what they talk about, what kind of information he gets out of these folks. And so I would say it as an analyst, or I should say as a commentator on a show or a podcast or whatever, he's getting what he works hard for, and you can tell he works hard for it and puts the dedication into it now, similar to what he did on the football field. I think it's childish, right? Some grown men like bantering back and forth, but that's kind of all it stayed at. And so I'm glad, whether one person took the high road or one didn't. I also feel like you really can't talk on Shaq's name. Like it's self-explanatory. Yeah, he probably could have been better, but at the end of the day, he was still great. One of the best that ever did it. So I'm glad they didn't drop that real quick. But it is interesting to pick apart, because you can't be having. We've already got grown men arguing back and forth over rap songs. We can't be continuing this.
Facts. So that's the end of the Got Beef segment, AJ, and that does conclude the pod. I appreciate y'all tuning in.
Yeah, it was a heck of a show today. There was a lot of stuff going on.
There was a lot going on.
Shout out to VA for that.
We did. Hey man,
yeah,
we got through it.
All fun and games.
Exactly. To get called into HR. Until next time.
Deuce.
Peace.